Welcome to the latest edition of the Pop Project with Stephen Kaufman. I hope you are having a wonderful day. It's a wonderful day outside, and it's a wonderful day just to do. It's just a wonderful day. So, we're going to get things started with a little bit of heavy stuff. We're going to start out a little heavy. And we're going to talk politics because I decided to watch the debate. Yes, I decided to watch the debate that I did not watch the first one because it was stupid. And boy, was I not wrong. I should have not watched the second one. It was a dumpster fire train wreck. Both parties kind of made a fool of themselves. Hillary less of a fool than her opponent, Donald Trump, but we all kind of figured that at this point because he has a lot going on with him, which we'll get into that later on in this segment. But it was a dumpster fire train wreck. Pretty much, they talked about the issues. They took, it was a town meeting style, so people were throwing in questions from the audience. They talked about everything that you would expect at a debate, minus the news segment of it, where it was talking about Donald Trump's tapes, Hillary's husband and his mistresses, and stuff like that, which took a little bit turn. I was not expecting them to go that much deep into it. It wasn't even the people asking those questions, by the way. It was the moderators. The moderators were some blonde chick and Anderson Cooper, which Anderson Cooper was the star of that because he did not play around. He wanted to dive into those facts, and he dove into them. No four-letter words were given that day. He pretty much at one point told the audience who were clapping, cheering, and laughing on, I forget what it was about, to not do that because they're wasting time. That man should run for president. He would be an amazing president if that's him in a very high tense situation. But pretty much the Donald Trump side of it was bring a point tied into Hillary. Called her a disaster. Told her to her face that she's a horrible person, pretty much, and stuff like that, kind of degrading, and then creepily stood behind Hillary as she's talking. And at one point, I'm pretty sure he had relations with his chair because the facial expressions he was giving while he's standing behind his chair was really, really funny. So I'm pretty sure that was like a softcore porn. But yeah, it was pretty much him deflecting and going straight towards Hillary, which did not answer any questions, which none of them did. Hillary did a little bit more than Trump. But at points I was going, oh snap, it's getting real in here. And it's a debate. I shouldn't be thinking that or saying that. But the main point that I took from it was that Donald Trump needs to actually start answering questions and not just blaming Hillary for everything. Because I get this feeling, in his mind, all Hillary's fault. Now, you might remember, I think it was a couple years back, there was a meme going around the internet called Thanks Obama, where, oh, I broke my car. Thanks, Obama. Like that kind of stuff as a funny joke. Except for this time, I don't think meant to be funny. I think he actually thinks it. Because he also told Hillary that when he becomes president, he's going to launch an investigation and get her in jail. Like literally threatening her on stage, on line TV. Like, why? I bet his publicist, who I'm at this point, I'm guaranteeing he does not have a publicist. Because if he had a publicist, then none of this stuff would have been happening. And it would all just be like blown, a little bit better covered up and more nicely worded. So yeah, he doesn't have a publicist. He does not have one at all. But you don't threaten people on stage. You just don't do that. But I do give Hillary credit. She kept calm the whole entire time, took everything with a grain of salt, and pretty much did her little shimmy because she was the clear winner just because she answered the questions and deflected him better and not constantly blaming him. Yeah, they both took jabs at each other. It's just his jabs were more childish. Pretty much he looked like a 5-year-old. He looked like a 5-year-old. And he kept sniffling the whole entire time, which made me believe that yes, does actually do cocaine before his debates. That's how he preps himself. So yeah, that was the debate. A dumpster fire train wreck. The next one's coming up in a few weeks. I probably won't watch that one because I watched my one debate. I do say this, and I'm not telling people how to vote or anything like that. There's more than 2 candidates on the ballot. Do not vote do not vote for one because it's the best of 2 evils. There's also the write-in portion, which I highly support Paris Hilton for president. Let's make America hot again. You can thank me later, Paris. Because why would you vote for one evil over the other? Both are not very good candidates. One's better than the other. We all know which one that is, and I'm not going to say it. I'm going to let you use your mind for that one. And this is all based on how they handle themselves and that kind of stuff. Not because one can wake up at 3 a.m. and answer phone calls, which that was mentioned like 3 times during the debate. But just vote for whoever you think is good. Like I said, there's more than 2 candidates. There's 2 more that I know. There might be more, and there's also write-in. So you can write in Paris Hilton or even write in a Kardashian. They're pretty much royalty anyways, and at this point, what else do we have to lose? But the main thing coming out of the debate, before the debate, was that they were leaked tapes from a behind-the-scenes interview that Donald Trump did with Billy Bush and Access Hollywood. Now, these are juicy. These are very, very juicy. Because pretty much all the tapes are doing are showing him to be a tool. Which we already knew this, right? But it's even more so because he talks about grabbing women by their P words. And you know what that P word is, and if you don't, just Google search Donald Trump tapes, and you'll find out. And then it goes into, like, taking Tic Tacs because he just wants to kiss beautiful women and that kind of stuff. And it's all just so bad. And he says to Billy Bush, which is really ironic that he says this to Billy Bush, because Billy Bush is the last one to know about any of this because he's not even famous, is that they all do it because he's a celebrity and he can get away with it. Which I was like, oh my god. He has such a big ego. And he's such a tool. But this has started like a firestorm. Worse than the dumpster fire train wreck. It's like a dumpster fire train wreck explosion, nuclear bomb. But it just exploded, and then people kept dropping him left and right as he lost funding for it. And then at one point, I believe that the Republican Party was trying to ditch him, and I think they came back, but I'm not really sure, because again, I don't follow politics. I just follow the juicies, which is this stuff. This is juicy. But oh my god, it's just, and people are defending him by saying, it was like 10 years ago, he's not, blah, blah. It's like, it doesn't matter. That stuff isn't, you don't know. No. Even if it was 5 minutes ago, it still would be bad. Even if it was 20 years ago. Look at freaking Bill Cosby and all that little stuff that happened like 50 years ago with the women and the Jello cups and the shots and the pills and the drugging and the raping. No. You need to be accountable for your actions no matter when you have the actions. Even if it's 10 years ago, you still need to be accountable for your actions. Donald Trump is not new to being a celebrity, reality star, whatever you want to call him these days. He should have known better. If you have a microphone on you, it's always recording. Especially when you're doing an interview, when you're taping an interview, that feed is being sent somewhere. And you're always going to have that feed. There's no excuse for that. And people keep going, well, that's locker room talk. No, that is not locker room talk, people. Have any of you actually ever heard locker room talk? It's not that vulgar. Yeah, it's kind of dirty and slightly offensive, but it's not that offensive. That was pretty much talking about using your power to force women to have relations with you, sexual relations, and mouth raping them. While I'm not going to go say that people should change their support for this, but I think people should look at all of it from this perspective. Same thing looking at Hillary and how she handled her husband and stuff. Might not have been the greatest thing in the world. Probably should look into it. I'm all for people changing their opinion on situations and growing from that point of it. Like people play her support of the LGBTQA community. People can grow over time and change their opinion. But that kind of stuff never changes. Yeah, you can grow out of it, but if you said it, you need to expect the consequences to have from it. This is the consequences. I watched his apology. He didn't make eye contact very well. He looked like he didn't want to be there. His tone was not apologetic at all. And then at the end, he also deflected back to Hillary and saying that Hillary done way worse. Hillary never said that stuff. Yeah, she might have done stuff with her husband's mistresses, which she needs to take responsibility for that, which I don't know if she has or not. I'm not going to comment on that. But you need to take responsibility, and that he did not. While he apologized, it was not the greatest thing in the world. It was a half apology. He did not really want to do it. Probably someone said, you probably should apologize. That was it. He just posted a video of it. It was a very bad apology. His team should be ashamed of himself from a PR standpoint because it did not fix anything. And I'm all for supporting him still. I give him credit. He's trying to be president. He's not changing his actions, which I also give him credit there. He's not changing himself to appease the people. But there comes a time and a point where you have to be an adult, which Donald Trump has not done so far. He's not acted like a mature individual. While he has a business standpoint, he needs to get out of that business mode. And why that might work in business, it won't work where probably need it. Again, I'm not trying to change your opinion. I'm just stating what I think. And if everyone had the same opinion, then it would not be this kind of world. And I'm open to everyone's opinion, and you can vote for whoever you want to. It's totally up to you. But Donald Trump needs to start owning up to what he's doing. And what he did in the past is wrong. There's accountability, past, present, and future. It's like the butterfly effect. Do one thing now. It's like if you go back in time, kill a butterfly, you don't know what that butterfly is going to influence in the future. You need to think about how you can say, okay, yeah, this happened. This was me at the time. This is not me now. I realized how my actions were this bad. I grew as a person. I'm no longer that person. And then show people that you're no longer that person. That is PR. Donald, you have not done that so far. You just keep adding to it. And now there are women coming out saying, oh, he did this to me. Just take responsibility for your actions. That's pretty much it. Start taking responsibility. And on that note, we'll be right back. Are you tired of losing the game? Well, it's time that you finally win the game with the Game Home Edition. In this version of the popular game, you get a box in air and some rocks as you and your friends try to beat the game before the game beats you. It's the game that never ends, and it's fun for the whole family. Pick up your copy of the Game Home Edition now. The game. Never lose the game again. Welcome back, and now it's time for me to help you become a better social media list with this week's edition of Social Media Corner. On this week's edition, I'm going to teach you how to use hashtags, because they're everywhere to begin with, so why not learn how to use them right? So hashtags, the main purpose of them is to help you or people that follow your brand communicate with each other, but kind of build a community with it. So you want to make the hashtag short and sweet to the point, but still summarize what the brand is. I recommend using the brand name in it. So like, my brand is the Pop Project. My hashtag is hashtag Pop Project. It's short, sweet, to the point, lets them know what they're talking about, and it's not too many stuff to where it's taking out of the conversation. Because mainly hashtags are used on Twitter. That is where they're most effective. Facebook started to use the hashtags, but it's not really that effective, especially when you can literally tag it. But hashtags on Twitter have to fit into the 140 characters that they're using. That way, they have more to talk about. And they're not subtweeting, because subtweeting is annoying. That's a whole nother topic on what is wrong with it. But you want to also make sure that the hashtags, you only have one. Many media outlets and shows and stuff like that are very guilty, especially reality TV shows, of having multiple hashtags for everything. Like they'll have a hashtag with the show title, hashtag for each contestant with their name, hashtag for each segment. And it just kind of gets to the point where it's like, which one are you supposed to use? Because if you use say you use two hashtags, that's taking up characters in the conversation that you're trying to have. So if you're talking about Jerry, who's on The Bachelor, and they have hashtag BH Jerry, I don't know what The Bachelor's initials are, I just made up stuff. And then you also have to use the hashtag Bachelor. That's pretty much half your stuff gone, because it's counted in with the hashtags. The only time I would recommend giving hashtags to people is if they don't have a social media handle. Use the social media handle. Well, yeah, it uses up more characters, but it also gets them involved, especially if they're able to communicate through social media with their people. And then people like it when famous people like or tweet or answer them whenever they tweet about them. Like, I got very giddy when Ginger Spice commented on my tweet, and then we liked it. It was a thrilling thing, because, oh my god, she saw me. Social media is very good for giving a connection where there's not usually one at. Before this, there was no way we can really communicate with celebrities besides sending them very long letters that they never read because their publishers could read them, and then throw out the non-charity cases. And yes, that is true, allegedly. But you need to use hashtags to create conversations. Keep it short and sweet, do not have too many. That's pretty much it. They're simple. It's not like posting. It's not very heavy on the details of why you need to do it, why not this way. You just got to make sure that the hashtag that you're using is easy to use, able to build a community with its shortness because it allows for conversation, and that you're also engaging in them with that conversation. Because how can you engage people and have them engage you back with using your brand if you don't chat back with them? Because the point of engagement is to have them have a positive experience, and then they tell their friends, and they tell their friends, etc., etc. You see where this is going. So yeah, that's pretty much it for hashtags. There's not really much, again, there's not much to it. It's simple enough to use. It's just, when used in the right way, so much good can come out of it. Especially when involving your brand. That is it for this week's edition of Social Media Corner. Let me know using the hashtag Pop Project and tweet me at Steven_Kaufman if you have any suggestions that you would like to hear on the next edition of Social Media Corner. And now we're going to stick with a social media trend and talk about Demi Lovato, who apparently decided to life quit the social media and her job. Demi tweeted a week ago or so that she's not meant for this kind of stuff, and that she's taken a break from social media and pretty much music, acting, that kind of stuff. She's taking herself out of the spotlight, which I've noticed that many celebrities are doing these days. I think it has to do a lot with the kind of society we live in where social media and celebrities go hand in hand, and they have their life more in a microscope than what they did before. You used to have to worry about paparazzi coming at you and that kind of stuff. Now it's not. Now it's more of social media, people talking bad about you, and they tag you in it, and then you can see it. Social media is kind of lowering the veil, so to speak, on how celebrities and fans interact with each other. It's very much a good thing, but also has its bad things. Same thing with celebrities and using social media. A lot of the time, celebrities tweet their own stuff, and then it ends up being controversial and stuff like that. Like Demi Lovato tweeting or talking about Taylor Swift Squad and how they're not, like, feminist or something like that. I'm not really sure. It's all really petty. But still, that stuff gets blown up because you can easily retweet a tweet, tag someone in it, or even just retweet a link out and stuff like that. It's sad that Demi Lovato has to take a break. Her music was rather good, especially the newer stuff. The old stuff, though, kind of the best. Let's be real. But, you know, it comes to the point where you have to sit down and think about it. Is it really worth it? Or is it not really worth it? And it kind of can tell that she said, okay, let me try a break and see how I feel about it. If I don't feel about it, then you know what? I can do something else. Most celebrities these days, I've also noticed, have plan Bs. I don't know what Demi Lovato's plan B is, but I think she has a plan B. I wish Demi the best, and I hope she does well. And I hope she'll see her soon, because it's really sad, especially with all her Lovatics, which is her fan base, pretty much being very depressed about it, almost as depressed as the Jonas Brothers fans were when they broke up. Let's get to something a little bit more fire hazard. As you are all aware, the Samsung company, which makes phones, if you don't know, and tablets and stuff like that, released a couple months back the Galaxy Note 7. They rushed it in order to compete with the new iPhone 7, iPhone 7 Plus, and it's been catching on fire. The fun fact with that is they recalled it. And they said they fixed it. But now they did not fix it because another one caught on fire, and another one, and another one. Pretty much they're little tiny bombs that you have in your pocket. People are getting injured from this, people are freaking out, people are turning off their phones, and then you can't ship the phone in because you technically can't mail them. So how are you supposed to return them? This is all a big debacle, which is a social media nightmare, and a public relation nightmare to begin with. they finally decided to cease production on the Samsung Galaxy Note 7. The reason why we haven't talked about this in the last couple weeks was because it really wasn't a big deal, but now it is, because it's kind of like, where did Samsung go wrong? It's like a fall from grace kind of story, because they're trying to outdo their business rival, and the next thing you know, their phones are exploding in people's pockets. And then they try to fix it, but then it kind of seems like they didn't really test it, because if they were to test it, then they would have noticed the fact that the phone would have caught on fire and stuff like that. Apparently the batteries exploding on it and causing fire and short-circuiting it, and it's really, really bad. There's apparently now iPhones that are catching on fire, but I think that's more along the lines of people overusing them. This one is just, they're just kind of going boom. It also brings into the topic of, is competition getting that bad to where people are rushing products and not really testing them? Or is it more along the lines of, they just made a mistake, they should have tested it after when they recalled it, and saved this trip? Because right now, they're losing money. They lost so much money. I don't know the estimate of it. I believe I read somewhere, which I'm really sorry, but I don't remember where I read it. So, this is alleged. Allegedly lost like $24 billion in all this, and they're making themselves look bad, because now Samsung with this phone have this reputation of catching on fire. And it's not like, oh, it happened once or twice, it happened like a bunch of times. So now all these phones are catching on fire, and no one seems to really know why, because Samsung is a little bit iffy on the details. They say, okay, it's something with the system, but don't give details why. Is it something that the user's doing? Is it something with the phone? Is it something they could have done differently? This whole thing is a really good public relation test for Samsung's, and they kind of handle it a little good, but kind of a little bad. Like, I would have went into more detail about what's making it go bad. I would have recalled it, and I would have even shipped the phones out until you can guarantee that nothing caught on fire. I know it's something to do with the battery, but still, you need to look at it and see, why is this happening? Is it the battery where it's at? Is it getting too hot and that's why it's doing? Or is it something with the, logistics of it and that kind of stuff? Testing should have happened. I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest that they probably didn't test any of the product before they released it, and this is why we're having recalls now, and it's going bye-bye. The phone looked like an amazing phone. I have an iPhone, was a Galaxy Note 4 user before I got my iPhone. The Galaxy Note 4 was an amazing phone. It's just easier with my work stuff to have an iPhone and it be linked to my computer, my iTunes, everything like that. While Samsung was a little bit better. I openly admit that Samsung had a little bit better product, but when it comes down to it, iPhone tops them based on logistics and the cloud and everything like that. But yeah, the Samsung really needs to, before they announce the Samsung Galaxy S8, because that's allegedly what's going to happen, look at the phone itself, how they are testing it, what can they do differently. I think this is one of those test cases where Samsung's PR team is going to look at it, look at what they did right, what they did wrong, and how they can improve on the situation, especially their team that builds the phones. Because again, the phone looked like a very amazing phone. It looked better than the Note 5, which didn't have the SD card, but the Galaxy Note 7 did. Is that why it exploded? Was the memory card too much? That kind of stuff. But yeah, they did everything right by pulling it. They should have tested the battery and made sure it was working first, because I'm going out on a limb and saying that they probably did, but from the looks of it and how much we get info on, it doesn't look like it. They should have communicated more to their consumers, made them feel like they are in it together. That way, everyone knows what's going on. Because right now, they discontinued the phone. I'm going to go out and guess that the phone is done. We're probably not going to get another Galaxy Note phone until the Galaxy Note 9. I'm just guessing 9 because they skipped over 6. And they're probably going to skip over 8. Or they could just go to Galaxy Note 10. Just because. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things where we need to look at, as a society, why people are that heavily compatible in business to where we have to rush products before we actually approve them. Because I'm guessing that product was not what Samsung wanted. Samsung's known before this for having quality products. Now every time someone gets a phone, they're going to think, oh, this phone's going to explode on me. And they're going to have to worry about that stuff, which is going to shift them over to, Google now, because Google has a phone, another brand, specifically iPhone. Because Samsung is in a war, so to speak. They're competing with them, so now Apple's iPhone 7 and a 7 Plus is beating them just because their phones don't explode. While they're not revolutionary, while they don't have a headphone jack, which is the big controversy with them, and they're still the same design, so to speak, they're known to work. They're known to be good phones, which is why people keep going back to Apple. We're going to take a short break. I hope you stick around, because if not, like I said before, I will cry and crying on a podcast. It's very sad.
Why, hello there. I bet you thought this would be a break from having to listen to my voice. Sorry to burst your bubble. This is actually where a sponsor would advertise in this podcast. Since I don't have any sponsors, I thought I would share with you a product that will bring all the frat boys to the yard. Bailey Bows. They help women become the women that the media presents them to be. So instead of sitting home on a Friday night, put on your Bailey Bow and you will become a dangerous woman. I bought 4 for my friends, and they are no longer crazy cat ladies. So get your Bailey Bows today, and you might even get a free copy of Bailey Bows' Best Bibble in the Bay Area. Bailey Bows. Make sure your frat boys love them.
And that will do it for this week's edition of the Pop Project with Stephen Kaufman. I hope you had an enjoyable time, because I sure know I did. And I didn't even cry this time. If you want more from the Pop Project, make sure you follow us online at thepopprojectwithstephenkaufman.com. Also, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Stephen_Kaufman, and use the hashtag Pop Project whenever you're talking about any stories that we covered this week. Until next time, good night and have a pleasant tomorrow. May the odds be ever in your favor.